interested in doing solar business in Philadelphia. And then that afternoon, we'll be graduating our 2020 trainees from the Bright Solar Futures program and having a career panel. And then I should also mention Solar States and Solarize Philly together have office hours each day this week. And then we'll be having a virtual solar home tour Thursday evening, where homeowners will be giving Zoom tours of their solar installations. So we're so excited to be kicking it off this morning with the Solar 101 webinar. So today we have a full set of speakers. So we'll be starting off welcoming Councilmember Gilmore Richardson. We also have Christine Knapp on. Hi, Christine, Director of Sustainability for the City of Philadelphia. We have Micah Gold-Markell, founder of Solar States. And then Mavish Ilyas is the PEA Solar Projects Coordinator. We'll be walking through Solarize Philly. I'm the solar manager at PEA. I'll be moderating. And then we are also lucky to have two solar homeowners on. So Leslie Gaines and Vu Lee will be sharing about their experience going solar through Solarize Philly. So let's go ahead and kick it off. I'm going to walk through the agenda. This will be the series of speakers, and to start it off, we have Councilmember Gilmore Richardson. I think we're still waiting for her to tune in. So I think we can go ahead and welcome you, Christine, to share your slides if you'd like. You should be able to present and see if that works. Okay, wait.
Yeah, Councilwoman is here.
Oh, okay. I see. Okay, great. Are you able to turn on your video, Councilmember? Let's see, I think, Mavish, we may need to make her into a panelist. Here, while we get that set up, I think, Christine, if you want to go ahead and kick it off, I'm going to stop the sharing and you can start, and then we'll go from there and we'll come back to the council member.
Great. Good morning. Thank you so much for having me. I'm Christine Knapp. I'm the director of the city's Office of Sustainability. Can you see my slides?
Yeah, we can, if you want to make them full screen.
Oh, there we go. Great. So thanks again. Happy Solar Week. Thank you to Laura and the Energy Authority folks for inviting me along and for putting this week together. It's always exciting to celebrate solar and all of the good that it does for Philadelphia and beyond. I think I just wanted to start by refreshing folks about why the Office of Sustainability is here and what we do. This is the Greenworks visions that we set forward in 2016 at the beginning of Mayor Kenny's administration of how we're going to create a sustainable city for all, focusing in on these 8 key vision areas. And many folks know that Mayor Kenny has been making and implementing on strong climate action commitments. He ran for mayor, saying that he would commit to the 80 by 50 goal. That at the time was the best a goal that was put forward by the international community. And then just about 6 months after taking office, when the Trump administration announced their intention to withdraw from the Paris Climate Agreement, Mayor Kenny signed along with many other mayors and governors around the country saying that we're going to stay in, meaning we're going to continue to try to meet the goals of the Paris Climate Agreement and reducing emissions by at least 80% by at least 2050. I think we are all in agreement we probably need to do a lot more by a lot sooner. And that's sort of our placeholder goal, but we know we probably want to do more faster. He also signed on to the Sierra Club's Ready for 100 renewable energy goal for the city. And knew that climate resiliency now would also be a key part of the second term. He included a commitment to an adaptation plan in his inaugural address and second term priorities document. And for us, climate change obviously comes with a multitude of risks. And what we see is that it actually can multiply many of our existing risks that we've been spending years and decades fighting against, whether that be poverty or violence or negative health outcomes. But importantly, it's also a multiplier of potential opportunities. It can help us grow equitably, create jobs, create economic opportunity, create a healthier city. And so that's how we really are trying to approach our work on. A couple of quick things here, just for context. In terms of fighting climate change, we need to look at our buildings as a major source of carbon emissions, which people usually don't think. People usually think about waste first because we touch it all day, we create it, it piles up outside of our houses. You know, we have waste around us, so we think about it a lot more as sort of a contributor to carbon pollution. Transportation comes usually to mind second because of tailpipes, because we can kind of see that cars and other vehicles are creating pollution, but we very rarely think about our buildings and our homes and our office spaces, our schools as contributors, but they are actually in Philadelphia the largest source. And that's primarily because of the way that they use energy. And so we've always been focused, I know the authority is as well, focused on reducing the amount of energy that buildings use and moving buildings towards cleaner energy use. We put out 2 documents in our office to help drive that message home around the built environment being sort of a key part of moving on climate action. Powering Our Future being a citywide vision for how we would hit that 80 by 50 goal in the built environment, and the Municipal Energy Master Plan being focused on how we can use municipal assets like our own City Hall and our other buildings to meet that goal. We actually set even more ambitious shorter term goals in the Municipal Energy Master Plan, including going to 100% renewable electricity by 2030, so a much sooner goal for 100% electricity for municipal energy use. And so to give you a sense of what that looks like for at least for Powering Our Future for the whole city, in order to achieve that, just that 80 by 50 goal, which again, we know we probably need to do even more, we have to do a lot to hit that goal. And that first bucket of sort of that mustard color bucket there shows you clean electricity supply. It's a huge, huge part of the way that we hit that goal, moving to clean energy like solar. You can see that next little piece there is just the Philadelphia citywide opportunity for solar. So we can clean the electricity supply by making large purchases like our solar power purchase agreement that are not generated in Philadelphia, but what's possible to generate in Philadelphia using sort of rooftops and what we have available is that next bucket. So those are not either or, we have to kind of do all of these things in order to hit that 20 by 50 goal. So I just wanted folks to see how important that was. I'm gonna leave this here for a second, but I'm also gonna go out because I need my notes and stop sharing for a sec. I just wanted to talk briefly before turning it back over to Councilwoman Gilmore Richardson. You know, we've had a lot of success over the last few years. You know, I mentioned the solar power purchase agreement that we were able to lock into with the approval from City Council legislation. It's a 70 megawatt solar facility that will provide the city with about 22% of our electricity use. It will lock in our rate for the period of the contract, about 20 years. So we believe it may save money over the time of the contract as well. And it's creating jobs in the construction of the facility, many of whom will come from Philadelphia. So it's really hitting all of the goals. And there will be a webinar through Solar Week later this week where City Energy Manager Amanda Warwood will kind of walk through some of the details of that project. But we're really pleased to be able to do that. And we're even more pleased that by doing so, we demonstrated to large institutions that it's possible and that it works and that it financially works. And so we've subsequently seen SEPTA announce a power purchase agreement, and the University of Pennsylvania announced a really large power purchase agreement earlier in the spring, 220 megawatts, which you know, really blows our project out of the water in terms of size. And so we're really proud to be able to have shared our success and encourage others to follow suit, and that is now something that others are moving ahead with. And we are hearing about a few other institutions that are also thinking about moving ahead with some that we're really glad for, and seeing, you know, again, the growth in the region and moving towards that bucket that we need to hit in terms of cleaning our electricity supply. A couple of quick other things. Some folks may know that the U.S. Department of Energy gave Philadelphia a Soul Smart Gold designation, which means we've removed barriers and other issues in terms of being ready for solar development in Philadelphia. We've also developed a solar rooftops application, and that's on our website, where folks can put in an address and take a look at their home, their building they own, and see the solar potential for their building. Doesn't negate the need to have someone actually come and look at your home, but can kind of give you somewhat of a sense of whether your home or your building would be a good fit for solar. So we're proud to have made that available. And then, of course, the Energy Authority's programs that we've been proud to support around Solarize and the Bright Solar Futures program, and then the solar incentive program that we work collaboratively on making available to folks as a rebate, which unfortunately is not happening this year, but was successful for last year for the moment that it was able to run. And that moment of reflecting that it's not happening this year because of COVID-19, because of the economic hit that the Philadelphia city budget has taken, leads me to my last point, which is that energy and solar in particular can be a part of our growth story from here on out. That we know that when we're installing solar on our homes, our businesses in Philadelphia, that we're creating jobs, we're sustaining jobs that are here, and that's something that we think is a tremendous opportunity to build back better, right? Not just to go back to the economy we had before that wasn't working for everyone, but to build an economy that really is inclusive and helps us achieve our climate goals, our health goals, our public equity goals. So we think that these solar jobs and other renewable energy efficiency jobs are a key part of that strategy. So we've been so grateful to work with alongside the Energy Authority, the council, many other partners, and the successes we've had so far. And we'll need your support in moving things ahead to get where we want to go and achieve all these goals. So with that, I'll turn it back over to you, Laura, and I know we'll hear from the councilwoman shortly as well. So thank you so much.
Great. Thank you so much, Christine. It's such an honor to have you join us as the Director of Sustainability. And it's been so exciting to see all the headway that's been made with the GreenWorks plan and the Municipal Energy Master Plan, Citywide Energy Vision, and utility scale solar project. There's so much that we've done together and so much more I know we will be doing together in the future. So thanks for joining us for Solar Week. And to kick this off, now I'd love to introduce Councilwoman Catherine Gilmer Richardson. So I'll just share a quick intro. So Catherine Gilmer Richardson is serving her first term as Councilwoman at Large for the City of Philadelphia. Gilmer Richardson's demonstrated track record of service and leadership within the community helped her to become the youngest woman ever elected citywide and the youngest African-American woman ever elected to Philadelphia City Council in November 2019. Gilmer Richardson previously served as a staff member for Councilwoman Blondell Reynolds Brown for 11 years in roles changing from constituent services rep to chief of staff. During her tenure, she helped secure passage of progressive policies affecting and advocating for women, children, people of color, and more. A lifelong Philadelphian, Catherine is a graduate of the Philadelphia High School for Girls and Westchester University. She resides in Winfield with her husband, David, and their 3 children, and also chairs the Committee on the Environment. So we are so honored to have you, Councilwoman Gilmer Richardson, here as we kick off Philadelphia Solar Week. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you so much, Laura, for that introduction and for all the work you have done. It has been my pleasure to watch you in your career, starting in the Philadelphia Energy Authority as an intern when you were still in school, like I started in City Council. So thank you so much for your work and for all that you continue to do to move us forward. And to Christine Knapp, it's such a pleasure to see you over in the Office of Sustainability. I remember working with you as a legislative aide on the energy benchmarking legislation. So to see you in this role and also to have worked on the legislation to make the Office of Sustainability a permanent part of city government is so full circle for me. And now to serve as the chair of the Committee on Environment is really very, very exciting. So good morning, everyone. Good morning. Thank you all so much, particularly to Solarize Philly and to the Philadelphia Energy Authority for having me this morning. I'm Councilmember Catherine Gilmore Richardson, and I am truly so excited to be kicking off the second annual Solar Week with each and every one of you who are tuned in either via Zoom or on Facebook. So for me, this is really an important event, and I'm really excited that we're going to continue to make this happen each and every year. So thank you to all of our guests. So for me, I've been thinking about our most recent events that happened in Eastwick, and I really think those events have highlighted and underscored that building toward a climate resilient city is really a community effort in the city of Philadelphia. And I'm really glad to see so many people here interested to learn more about solar. So as all of us know, and as we know, as a first-term member of City Council, only 8 months in, we are facing many crises right now in our city. COVID-19, an economic downturn, gun violence, and on top of all of that, we are facing a climate crisis. And COVID-19 and all of the impacts that we've seen has really taught us a lot about what we need to do to work towards a better future and what will happen if we don't address climate change. So for example, the communities most at risk for COVID-19 are also most at risk from the impacts of climate change. So because of systematic oppression and environmental racism, people of color tend to live closer to polluting industries and are more likely to suffer from urban heat island impacts and are more likely to suffer from related adverse health impacts like asthma, like 2 of my 3 children have, preterm birth, or issues relating to maternal health. Additionally, the trend of multiple ongoing crises like damaging storms, like we've seen in Eastwick, extreme heat, these things will only worsen all of the events that have become more frequent and more intense in our community. So we must be doing everything we can to reduce our carbon emissions and build a city that is safe, healthy, and climate resilient in every neighborhood. Your zip code should never determine your climate resiliency. So we have made important progress on climate. Christine, who you just heard from, shared more about the great work of her office. And in City Council, we've been working hard with the administration to tackle climate change and incentivize greenhouse gas emissions reductions. One of the biggest areas of progress we have seen is on solar. Solarize Philly is the largest program of its kind in the nation. Let me repeat that for those of you who are still awake and still processing your coffee. Solarize Philly is the largest program of its kind in the nation. And Council is proud to be a strong supporter of the Energy Authority and all of the initiatives from Solarize Philly to CPACE, which is a clean energy financing program for commercial buildings, to Built to Last, which helps low and moderate income homeowners take advantage of important programs to help improve their homes. So part of why we have been so invested in solar is that with the right policies and programs, it can be made affordably available to every Philadelphian. And for me, workforce development is very important. It's also a great jobs creator. So first on access and affordability, because this is really, really important to me. We need solutions that include all Philadelphians because we need everyone to transition from fossil fuels in order to really reduce our greenhouse gas emissions. And also, like I mentioned before, issues of equity and justice have to be at the center of all of our programs and at the center of all of this work. The Energy Authority's research has found that energy insecurity is unfortunately very common in our city. Over half of Black Philadelphians, regardless of their income, have at least one instance of energy insecurity every year. And let me underscore why that's important to me, because I was born and raised here in the city of Philadelphia. And growing up, my parents worked, they had great jobs in healthcare, but they were working people and always caregivers and taking care of other members of our family. And I remember those phone calls that my mom would give, and she would say, Kathy, don't ask a lot of questions. Go outside. You may see the utility company trying to dig up the street. I want you to stand there until I get home from work. That's a real life experience that I had growing up because our heating bill was always so high. And looking back, really our home needed energy upgrades to make sure it was more efficient. But our gas bill was always very, very high after every winter. And I remember having to do that as a young person. So I have to underscore how important it is for all of you to realize that over half of Black Philadelphians, regardless of their income, have at least one instance of energy insecurity every single year. So having solar in your home can help reduce your monthly energy bills, helping to reduce energy insecurity. We want to work to keep people in their homes, and reducing energy insecurity is really the key. Second, solar jobs are good for our local economy, and the Energy Authority is working hard to create important pipelines for opportunity youth and school district graduates. Those are my career and technical education graduates, and I'm a former high school teacher with the School District of Philadelphia, so those young people are very important to me, and I'm a really big advocate for CTE, and that's why my first bill in council was around the city creating those pipelines and pathways to hiring opportunities for CTE grads. And, you know, this is an issue that I'm continuing to work on both in council and with workforce development in the Department of Commerce and the Office of HR and the Civil Service Commission, because I understand that it's important for us to create those pipelines for our young people. And the Energy Authority is leading on this work, creating the first solar CTE program in the state, which is launching this year. And I'm so proud to see these types of innovative programs being built right here in Philadelphia, a city of first. And I hope to see more of them from other green industries being developed soon. By choosing to put solar in your home, you are helping us create a greener, cleaner city with a strong local economy. In order to put more people into these good jobs and help more local businesses thrive, we need homeowners and landlords to participate in programs like Solarize. So council has created additional incentives for solar, helping to make solar costs competitive, and I'm continuing to look for more ways for us to advance toward climate action in the future. Recently, after our Earth Day Roundtable, which some of you participated in, and after listening to the feedback from a number of the groups, I've called together 60 of the local groups and asked them to participate in a civilian environmental advisory committee. And we have 7 groups that are focused on air quality, energy, green jobs and businesses, green space, waste, and water. And each group is tasked with working with me to identify legislative solutions to address environmental justice and climate change. And as the chair of the Committee on the Environment, I am so excited about this work and so excited about these ongoing meetings, which will continue this week, as we engage my council colleagues, the administration, and outside stakeholders to move us closer to achieving our climate goals and making Philadelphia safe, clean, healthy, and climate resilient for everyone. So thank you all so much for having me today. I'm grateful for the hard work of the Energy Authority and Solarize, and I'm excited to see all the great events going on this week. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much. That was really great to hear some of your perspectives from City Council as the chair of the Environment Committee. And we're excited to be participating in some of the advisory committees that you've convened. So looking forward to what can come of that. So I'm going to go ahead and give a quick backdrop on the Energy Authority for those who may not have that already. And then I'll be passing it over to our Solar Projects Coordinator, Mavish Ilyas, to share more about our solar programming. So the Philadelphia Energy Authority was established in 2010 as an independent municipal authority to advise the city on issues around energy affordability and sustainability. We work very closely with Christine's Office of Sustainability to back the mayor's commitment to switch to 100% renewable energy and uphold the climate goals Christine was sharing about earlier. In 2016, we launched the Philadelphia Energy Campaign, which is our marquee initiative with the leadership of Council President Darrell Clark to leverage $1 billion of investments in clean energy and energy efficiency projects and create 10,000 jobs. We're well on our way towards that goal. We've created over 1,000 jobs to date and invested over $100 million in projects across all 4 of these sectors. Through our work, we see energy as a tool for impact. So we're really not doing energy projects for the sake of doing energy projects, or even just because of the climate impact they have, but also because they're getting at some of the deepest issues Philadelphians are facing. We know that clean energy projects create jobs and drive local economic development by reducing the utility bills of those who need those savings the most. And we know that clean energy projects create jobs, with solar installer being actually the fastest growing occupation in the country and a high priority occupation here in Philadelphia County. We want to continue driving that development, which is more important now than ever before in the context of COVID. We know that solar can help drive the economic recovery here in Philadelphia, and clean energy projects more broadly. We want to make sure we're taking full advantage of that. So in 2017, we kicked off Solarize Philly, and as Councilwoman Gilmore Richardson shared, it is the largest program of its kind in the country. It put Philadelphia towards the top, with actually becoming the 4th fastest growing solar market in the country. We saw solar companies coming to do business in the city that had previously not, and we've seen at this point over 600 homeowners go solar through Solarize Philly. So a lot of success, and we continue to support homeowners to go solar through 2020. We have a deadline of September 30th to sign up for a free solar assessment through the program, and I'll pass it to Mavish, to share more about the program. So thanks, Mavish.
Thank you so much, Laura. Hello, everyone. Good morning. My name is Mavish, and I'm the Solar Projects Coordinator with Philadelphia Energy Authority. So like Laura and Council Member Richardson shared, that Solarize Philly is the single largest solar initiative in the whole country. To date, we have received signups from more than 6,000 property owners all across Philadelphia who signed up with us to get an initial solar assessment done for their property. And from this pool of signups, more than 660 people have already signed a contract with us to move forward in the process and to get solar installed. And for more than 80% of these contracts signed, we have already fulfilled and completed the installation process, leading to an investment of $11 million in Philly's clean energy economy. And subsequently, these projects have also created 94 direct jobs. We can move to the next slide, please. So Solarize Philly is modeled after the concept of a group of people coming together to tap into group buying discounts. But at the same time, we wanted to use Solarize Philly as a vehicle for creating values, not only for home and property owners, but also for other stakeholders and partners, including solar installers, PICO, and LNI. So we've been working very closely with PICO and LNI to streamline the permitting and interconnection process, so that we encourage more solar installers to do business in Philadelphia. At the same time, we also developed a partnership with equipment providers so that our pre-approved Solarize Philly installers would have access to discounted equipment. And then we've been doing a lot of work around community outreach and education. So community really lies at the heart of everything that we do. And as you can see on the next slide, we've been doing a lot of work to organize community events. We've been going to community meetings. We've been working very closely with neighborhood organizations just to spread the word about Solarize Philly and to educate people about solar. For example, a lot of people in Philadelphia think that solar cannot be installed on flat roofs. So we've been educating and telling people that for a lot of rooftops in Philadelphia, solar is a great fit and it's a smart investment. Another question that we get a lot from the customers, if you can go to the next slide, please, Laura, is around the cost. And the cost for getting solar really varies from one household to another, and it depends on a lot of factors like how much space you have available on your roof, the shading, and also how much electricity you currently consume. So I've seen proposals for neighbors right next to each other, and the cost for the solar system, there was a difference just because one family used more electricity than the other. But for a typical Philly row house, the range is between $10,000 to $20,000, and the system pays for itself between 8 to 10 years. The system is also warranted to produce electricity for 25 years. So that's another interesting fact. Let's go to this next slide. So another question that we get a lot from customers is about the financing methods and mechanism and how the process works. So some customers or homeowners pay cash upfront, but for others, it is more feasible to take a solar loan or a home equity loan, and our partner solar installer, Solar States, is fully equipped to guide you through the process. They will help you to apply for the loan, and also during the process, if you have any questions or any concerns, you can always reach out to us at Philadelphia Energy Authority, and we will be more than happy to help you. So I also wanted to mention that currently there is a 26% investment tax credit available to all systems installed this year. So if you're on the fence, 2020 really is the time to go solar before the tax credit steps down and goes away completely. And we can go to the next slide, please. So if you're interested in learning more about Solarize Philly and just getting an initial assessment done for your property, the process is really very simple. Simply go to our website at solarizphilly.org. When you go to our website, you would see a button that says sign up now. If you click on this button, it will direct you to a form that would ask you a couple of questions about your property, the condition of your roof. And once you submit the form, someone from our team will give you a call to welcome you to the program and also to confirm a few details about your property. We will then refer you to our pre-approved solar installer, Solar States, who will generate a proposal specific for your property. And then once you've reviewed the proposal, you can decide to move forward in the process by signing a contract. Once you sign a contract, Solar States will also work with you to submit the applications with PICO and LNI to make sure that you have the approval for interconnection and you have all the permits. And after they have all the approvals, they will get on your rooftop to install solar. And once solar has been installed, PICO will swap your meter and they will give you the final permission to operate, after which you can flip the switch and benefit from the solar electricity that your system will generate. So I'm also really excited to share that in this phase, we have a special offering for low and moderate income households to make sure that solar is accessible for all Philadelphians through the Solar Savings Grant Program. So our goal is to facilitate 45 households to go solar. So there are no credit requirements to participate in this grant program. The only eligibility requirements are that the homeowners must have paid their PICO bill on time and in full for the past 12 months, and the total household income must be less than 80% of area median income. And this program has been made possible through a blend of funding from private and public partners. So if we go on to the next slide, this just shows the partners that we're working with to make this program possible. So through this program, Philadelphia Energy Authority is able to cover up to 50% of the installation cost for these projects with Solarize Philly program fee and with support from Pennsylvania Housing Finance Agency to hold a loan loss reserve. And for the remainder of the cost, we have arranged for a solar loan with funding provided by Centennial Parkside CDC. The loan funds are being managed by NIFE and are offered to homeowners for a 15-year term at 5.99% interest rate. And Centennial Parkside CDC in turn got this funding from grants raised by William Penn Foundation and Sparks. So this is a really great example of how grant funding can be used to create a revolving fund. And then again, I want to mention that Solar States is our partner for this grant program. So I know that we have been talking about creating jobs. So Philadelphia Energy Campaign has a goal to create 10,000 clean energy jobs, and we're trying to do the same through Solarize Philly. But at the same time, we must have a pipeline of people who are skilled and equipped to take up those clean energy jobs. So we're running two parallel training programs. The first one is for high school students, which we're running in partnership with Solar States and ECA. And to date, more than 70 students have graduated from the program. And the second program is for Opportunity Youth. And the first batch graduated this year in May, and they're currently undergoing job and internship placements. And like Councilmember Richardson mentioned, that I'm really excited to share that we have received approval from Pennsylvania Department of Education to launch the first ever CTE program in the state with a focus on solar energy. So Philadelphia really has emerged as a leader, and they have, we have this great program that will serve as a model for other states to follow, who are interested in developing similar curriculum. So before I go, I just wanted to leave you with my contact details, which are on the next slide. So the success of Solarize Philly has only been made possible through the massive success that we received from our partners, stakeholders, city council, and all the community members. So if you have any questions or any concerns, feel free to reach out to us at any time. We would love to hear from you. And I'm really excited and looking forward to Solarizing Philly with all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mavish, for sharing more about the program. Yep, we are so delighted to be able to offer the Solar Savings Grant Program this year as a pilot, as we aim to scale that up to 1,000 households over the coming years to make sure that we are deploying solar in a way that's benefiting all communities in Philadelphia, and then simultaneously tracking young people into the jobs, the living wage jobs that are created as a result of doing these projects. So in line with that, I'm so excited to also be joined by Micah Gold-Markell, founder of Solar States. And as Mavish mentioned throughout her presentation, Solar States has been a partner with us since the beginning of Solarize Philly. They've been one of our pre-approved solar installers. They're the pre-approved installer for the Solar Savings Grant Program, and Micah's team also provides instruction for our Bright Solar Futures program, and then has hired people out of that program. So it's really a virtuous cycle that we've been able to create in partnership with local solar installer Solar States. Micah, we're so grateful to have you on today. You can go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Laura. Really appreciate it. And welcome everyone. And particularly, I'm just so thrilled and amazed that here in Philadelphia, we have a solar week. It's such an important thing. This is our second year doing it, and I got to give a lot of kudos to the Philadelphia Energy Authority, and also how amazing it is that we have the largest Solarize in the country. I mean, I've been in this business since 2008. I have peers. We're part of a solar co-op called Amicus, and we have peers across the country. And for years, we've been sort of jealous of what's going on in other states. We look at New Jersey and Massachusetts and all these states with great solar incentives, and Pennsylvania doesn't have a lot of these incentives, but the city of Philadelphia has stepped up and really brought a lot of oomph to the push. We have that solar rebate program. We have the Office of Sustainability and the Energy Office purchasing solar. So, we have just wonderful support at the city level. And I'd like to welcome Councilmember Gilmore Richardson. We're so excited to work with you. Councilwoman Blondell Reynolds Brown was amazing to work with in the past, and we're really excited to work with you to make sure that we keep good solar policy here in the city of Philadelphia. A little bit about Solar States. I'm the founder. We were founded in 2008 on the vision of Van Jones's The Green Collar Economy. If you haven't read that book, please go out, get it now, read it. It's such an important book to read. It literally set a light bulb off above my head that this is what I needed to do. I was in software before that, and I saw Van Jones just give this impassioned speech in which he said, "The green wave can lift all boats." And I thought to myself, this is what we have to do. We have to do this as a community. I want to participate in this. And you know what? In order to make it work, we also have to have not just a jobs component of installing solar and making sure it gets done the right way, but a training component to make sure that the right people are getting trained and can get access to these jobs. And who are the right people? They're Philadelphians, of course, right? I mean, that's what we're here to do, is to be the on-ramp to the green collar economy for Philadelphians, for people who have traditionally been left out of these kinds of jobs. And it makes me so proud to say that over 90% of our company lives in Philadelphia. We are over 40% minority, and we have minority participation all the way up and down our management structure. So it's really something that just reflects the city that I personally grew up in, and something that is not, you know, I always feel a little weird trumpeting these things, because it's like, this is the way it should be, shouldn't it? Like, this is the way all companies should be run. We're what's known as a certified B corporation. So that means that we have a triple bottom line: people, planet, and profit. Sorry, three. 1, 2, 3. Okay, people, planet, profit. And what does that mean in practice? It means that we pay a living wage, not just minimum wage. So everybody knows minimum wage is somewhere around $7.50 an hour. I mean, it's crazy low. It should not be that low. And so instead, our minimum for anybody coming in is $16 an hour, and then we move people up pretty quickly from there. And as Mavish and Laura have mentioned, we hire from our training programs. So we do a lot of work with the School District of Philadelphia, with the Philadelphia Energy Authority, with PowerCorp, PHL, a lot of great partners, Youth Build Philly, and we train students, inner city adults, Philadelphia OIC. We work with them and have solar training so that we can have the workers that we need in order to have the best installation force, not just in the city, but in the entire country. And so we're about 30 full-time employees now. We focus on full-time employment. We provide healthcare for our employees, 401k plans, and all sorts of mentorship and financial literacy tools to try to help our employees along. So that's a little bit about Solar States. I'd like to focus in now on, you know, the sort of issue that everyone is focusing on these days, and that is COVID and COVID-19 preparedness. So we're seeing a lot of interest in solar as a result of the COVID pandemic. We also have to think about how we're going to install, because we have to do things differently now that COVID is here. We did shut down for 2 months. Thankfully, we were strong enough financially, and we had a good enough pipeline, thanks in part to programs like Solarize Philadelphia, that we were able to survive the shutdown. We're in a very strong financial position as we reopened, and we've been able to bonus all of our employees, bring them all back, and we're really excited. But part of this is, how do we operate safely under these conditions? Well, as everyone knows, it's very important to wear a mask. We've got branded masks for all of our solar installers that they wear when they're on the job site, and gloves. And, you know, that's sort of the obvious stuff. But we're also part of this national co-op that I spoke about, Amicus. And we worked with over 60 companies nationally to come up with a specific solar preparedness plan. And so I'd like to show you a little bit of that. If you just take a moment, let me find the screen to share here. Okay, hopefully everyone can see this. First off, all of our installers had to take a training certificate program from 360 Training. When we opened back up, we spent 2 full days training everyone on the new procedures about COVID and what we can and can't do. And one of the things that we really focused in on was, hey, you know, we want to minimize contact with people. Obviously, always wear your mask, always stay 6 feet away. But if you can even do better than that, we should try to do that. And so one of the ways we do that is by thinking through the needs of our staff. And one of the ways we find out the needs is through having what's called pandemic officers on every team. So every team has a pandemic officer on their team, and they are in charge of making sure that everyone complies with the rules, but they are also in charge of coming back to us and reporting things that they need. And so one of the things we found out very early on, other than having hand sanitizer and things available in the truck so that you have hand wash stations so people can stay clean, is going to the bathroom. I mean, this might sound like a funny issue, right? Like, you don't think of going to the bathroom as a big deal, but you really don't want to enter somebody's house. And frequently during an installation, you know, you do have to use a bathroom. So we've provided our installers with portable porta pots, so to speak, so that they don't have to enter anyone's house. They can go to the bathroom privately and still maintain a safe work environment. When we need to enter people's houses, which is not a requirement of every solar installation. Some solar installations can be done completely on the exterior of the house. But if we do need to enter the house, we send out a questionnaire to the homeowner prior to us going, asking various questions so that we can figure out logistically what is the safest way we can do this and have the homeowner exit the building with a reasonable amount of time before we get there and a reasonable amount of time after we've been there. We also designate a single person to go in, so it's not the entire crew, it's always one person who is being tested and understands that they need to, you know, maintain a safe lifestyle right now during COVID. So we're doing everything that we can to make sure that all of the protocols that have been developed in the plan that you can see on your screen here are followed. You know, I found that one of the hardest things as I go out with the crews is to remember that there's no handshakes. It's really tough, right? Going around and thinking, oh, you know, I like to really greet the customer. We always, the first thing we do when we arrive is we greet the customer. But now we ring the doorbell, we actually step back, we let people know we're there, but we don't invade your personal space. No handshakes, we stay 6 feet away. We also have rules for our office here. So, you know, our office right now is actually closed. We do have periodic people coming in and working from the office, but we're doing most of our work remotely. And it's funny, before the pandemic, I would have thought that was impossible. You know, how are we going to do all of this? But it turns out that a lot of the tools we use, like Slack and tracking things on Google Drive and all of that, people have been able to really transition and be very effective at their job, both through permitting, interconnection, and all of the work that needs to be done to prep for a solar installation. And we're doing that now successfully, remotely. So I'm really, really excited to see that our team has transitioned really seamlessly. One of the most important items that we have is our crew members remain on the same crew unless otherwise approved by our staff. And again, this is to create groups of people who stick together so that if we do have a problem, which thankfully, knock on wood, we haven't had anyone come into contact with COVID yet, nor have we had a diagnosed case of COVID yet. But if we were, we have these groupings that ideally will keep things very limited and small. And we're having crews travel in personal vehicles to sites as much as possible, things like that, to keep people out of enclosed spaces and not working together in enclosed spaces. That's really what we're trying to prevent. So as you can see here, we have a very robust plan. Again, I have to shout out Amicus, because this is not just our doing. It's the doing of a national consortium of solar installers who worked together to come up with a plan to fight COVID in the solar industry. So now is a great time to go solar. You know, if you have concerns, we're here to listen to them. Hopefully we can address them so that, you know, you feel secure in us coming to your house. And like I said, we send out a questionnaire prior to coming to your house to ensure that we're all on the same page. So let's talk a little bit about, Solarize and how it works and why it works so well. Well, Solarize obviously is a plan from the Philadelphia Energy Authority. It's backed by the authority. And basically, we had to go through a very rigorous check to ensure that, we're a financially stable company, that we're installing the right way. How do they know we're installing the right way? Well, they hire an outside company to do quality assurance checks randomly on our installations. So, as a consumer, we're not just telling you it's a high quality solar installation, but it's proven out by this third party. So that's unlike any other program that I can personally think of. And that's really important because solar is a long-term investment. It's something where, you have this 25-year warranty. And if it's not installed right, then you're going to have a lot of problems with that warranty. And you're going to want to make sure that you have a company that's going to stand beside that. So a lot of people, are faced with a lot of choices when looking at solar companies. And the biggest choice tends to be price, right? Everybody's looking for a good deal on their solar. I know if I was shopping for solar, I'd be looking for a good deal as well. And I can tell you for sure that the Philadelphia Energy Authority and Solarize Philly is the perfect combination of price and value, cost and value here, right? And that's because if you go with the lowest cost, a lot of those solar installers we've seen really struggle. Some of them didn't even make it out of the COVID shutdown, which is really a shame. We lost a lot of good companies in that. But you want to go with a company that has value, not just lowest cost, because value means that they're going to be around to support your solar installation for the term of the warranty. Think about when you're buying cars or other big purchases. You don't always immediately go for that lowest cost one because you want to make sure if you're going to be using something for a long time that the company you're getting it from is going to be able to stand behind it for the long term. And I'm really, really pleased to say that at Solar States, we've always stood behind our warranties. We do great work, but nobody's perfect. Sometimes there are issues, and we have a service department that can go out and handle issues within a reasonable period of time should they occur. There are a lot of other companies out there that provide decent service. They have very, very low cost, but if you try to catch up with them after they're done, they can be really hard to find. So just be aware of that. The other thing that I'm super, super excited to be a part of is this low to middle income program. It's so innovative. It's really unique to the city of Philadelphia that we're going to get solar in neighborhoods that traditionally have had a really negative relationship with energy, and for good reason. I mean, energy has been a major polluter. The generation of energy, the storage of energy, all of that stuff where we're storing gas and we're burning it and all that stuff, and coal, I mean, it's caused, as the council member said earlier, asthma is a big, big problem, and particulate matter from coal is the number one reason we have that. Well, now we're changing that narrative. We're going into those neighborhoods and we're literally creating positive energy. So people who are from those neighborhoods are installing solar on the roof. We're having clean, green energy power the neighborhoods that traditionally have been victims of the energy revolution that's happened here in the United States. So we're really, really excited about that piece. We recently completed a project in North Philadelphia for the Philadelphia Housing Authority called Blumberg Community Center. And one of our employees, his name is Mark, actually lives and grew up around the corner from that project. And he was telling me the other day how he walked around the corner with his dad and got to show him his work at this. And his dad was sitting there and he was amazed, and he was like, oh man, this is so cool. So that's creating energy from the building. And he got to really explain to his dad, who lived in North Philadelphia for a very long time, how solar is coming to North Philadelphia, and he's part of the team that's doing it. I mean, that was just an incredible moment to hear that story. One last story. We've hired an employee who's now a lead. He's been with us for over 4 years. His name is Cottrell Holmes. And Cottrell came to us from PowerCore, PHL. PowerCore works with ex-offenders to get them trained up on job skills using doing green stormwater infrastructure projects. And then they pass, we have a solar program where they learn about solar, and then we get some of those employees, or some of our employees, through that program. Cottrell's been with us for about 4 years, and we were doing our employee evaluation, and we like to get a lot of feedback from the employee during those times. So I said, Cottrell, you know, what do you think of your job? He goes, what do you mean my job? I go, yeah, what do you think of your job? He goes, you didn't, you know, this isn't a job. I said, what do you mean it's not a job? He said, what this is a career. And I was just like, mind blown. Wow, incredible, right? I mean, this is a career. He goes, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And I just thought, this is why we exist. This is it. So pretty incredible stuff. I'm gonna just show you real quick. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen for a moment and show you. This is a picture from a little while back of our staff in front of the warehouse. So you can see we've got a lot of great folks who are working here at Solar States. It really is all about the workers here. They do a great job. And my background is installing solar as well. I was on roofs myself for over 5 years. So I really do appreciate the install team. They're out there in the hot weather. You know, when it was 90, you know, almost 100 degrees on the roof, it's 130. It's like a lot hotter, and they're out there really working hard. So big kudos to all of the installers who work hard in the heat and in the cold to do a really quality job. Lastly, I want to share my screen one more time. Hopefully I can find, here it is. So some of our work. One of our employees, shout out to Adam Stein, started an Instagram, and this Instagram is called Solar of a City, and it's to highlight solar in the city of Philadelphia. And you know, you can see a lot of really great photos of solar all around. And for those of you who don't know, solar can be installed on lots of different roof surfaces. So here we have a house in Fishtown that was recently completed. And you can see that this is a pretty tricky roof. I mean, it's just a tar roof that's sloped, and we got solar on it. Here's an example of a flat roof. We do lots of flat roof systems, and the advantage of flat roof systems is you can use ballast weight or concrete blocks to hold your solar down so that there's no holes in your roof. There's no penetrations that could potentially leak in the future. And as you can, oh, here's Adam. Here's Adam holding up our city single-handedly. He's a pretty strong guy. And you can see that we've done just about every type. We got flat roof and a pitched roof, another flat roof. Oh, here we go. Solar awning off of the back of the house to create shade for the windows. And this is in Fishtown as well. Shade for the windows and solar on the roof. So you name it, we've done it. Lots of different styles of solar projects. We also do commercial solar. This is Green Line Cafe building in West Philadelphia. Lots of solar on the roof there. This is one of our first projects, the Crane Arts building, and that's our office, the red building in the background there that we built about 1.5 years ago, which also has solar on top of it. So lots of great photos here. If you ever want to see or get some ideas of how solar could look on your house, just come to Solar of a City. We've also done carports. This is a carport out in King of Prussia that we did not too long ago. So basically, if it has solar on it, we're interested in doing that project with you. So that's a little bit about Solar States. We're super excited to be a part of this. Oh, I do have one last thing I'd like to share with everyone. Let's see, off of our website. Hold on, I'm gonna have to go to it in another window. Give me 1 second. And that's called the Philadelphia Report. And we're producing this report as a way of showing people where we're at and where we want to go with solar. It's really important to always take stock of where you're at. And we found that there weren't great resources out there, and we wanted to share what we knew and what we understood in terms of solar in the city of Philadelphia. And so we produced this report. Let me see if I can share it with you now. Hold on. I have to find the screen. There we go. Okay, so this is on our website. It's called the Philadelphia Solar Report. And it gives you when it was last updated. And it has a lot of interesting facts. For example, for installs and generation numbers for what we did every month. So July's numbers, we generated for systems that we installed in Philly, 362,836 kilowatt hours. I mean, that's a lot of energy here in Philadelphia that we're generating, and we need to just keep making more and more. We installed 13 new systems. Our goal is to have 530 systems installed in Philadelphia. Oh, excuse me, we've installed 530 systems. Our goal is 2,000 by the year 2030. So you can see the progress that we're making on our goal here to install solar. And then you can get some great facts like we're committed to 100% green energy, see some news, and then, you know, just generally get more information about solar in Philadelphia. Our training programs are mentioned here. If you're interested in finding out, here's some of the students that we've had as part of our Bright Solar Futures teaching initiative, some interviews with employees, the legendary Judy Wicks, who went solar with us as well. So, you know, there's a lot of good information here about solar. And with that, oh, and I almost forgot. We also produce a solar podcast, which you can see an episode of here. And the Philadelphia Energy Authority, Laura and Emily were on our last podcast. Come to our site, check it out. It's a lot of fun, interesting information about solar. And with that, I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you all for your time. I'm so excited to be here, to be a part of Solarize Philly and Solar Week here in Philadelphia. Woohoo! Let's keep the momentum going. And thank you so much for your time.
Great. Thank you, Micah. That was excellent to have some insight into what's going on in solar states as you've recovered from COVID, the initial period there, and now you're back to work on rooftops and putting solar panels up to reduce people's electric bills and have people employed in the city. So we're so grateful for the work you do. And now I am excited to introduce Leslie Gaines, one of your customers, actually, who went solar during phase 1 of Solarize Philly. So Leslie was one of the first homeowners to go solar through our Solarize Philly program. And she's been an ambassador and spokesperson for the program since then. She spoke at the press conference when we kicked off phase 3 of Solarize Philly and has participated twice now, I believe, in the solar home tour, opening up her home to interested neighbors to learn more about what solar looks like and to hear from her experience. So Leslie, I'll pass it to you to share some about your experience. I have a couple of questions I'll ask. And I think just I'll say in the meantime, as we're hearing from Leslie and Vu about their experiences going solar, I'd invite people to go ahead and start putting in questions in the Q&A on the bottom of the screen. So you can go ahead and do that, and then we'll open it up to questions. But my first question for you, Leslie, is what inspired you to go solar?
Okay, so well, I was actually an environmental studies major in college, but I never managed to fit that into my career. My career has been rather a meandering path, but I've always had a bit of an interest in energy and environmental issues. And so it was kind of a no-brainer when my son started prompting me about 10 years ago that he wanted me to make our house go solar. There was a company called One Block Off the Grid that was working the neighborhood, and he pushed me to get an estimate from them. Unfortunately, that experience was a disappointment because they went up and checked my roof, and they said that my roof was not big enough for the system size that I would need. They also said I had a big tree on the back that was casting a shadow. They suggested they might be able to get enough solar up there if I cut down the tree, but I realized that cutting down the tree was a bad idea from the standpoint of CO2 emissions, and wasn't willing to sacrifice my 100-year-old tree for my solar project. Fast forward about 8 years later, a friend of mine who works in solar was nudging me to look into it again. And he actually gave me a quote, and I was way beyond my reach. But then I realized that this program, Solarize Philly, had started. And I said, well, you know, why not give it another shot? I really wasn't very optimistic, but Solarize Philly looked at my roof, and fortunately the technology has improved so much that I was able to get 100% solar on my roof.
Incredible, incredible. So we know that Solarize Philly has supported a lot of people like you who were thinking about solar for years and then decided to make the leap, seeing the discounted pricing that you're able to access through the program. Now, I'm curious to hear about what the impact of going solar has been on you and your electric bills, and how does it compare to what you expected?
Okay, so well, back in 2018 when I signed up, my peak electric bill for that year in July was about $154. And my average billing over the year was about $84 a month. So Solarize, once you get the solar on your house, you are now changing your relationship with Pico, and you can end up with a bill that is just the monthly customer charge, which this last slide shows that $9.99 is my monthly customer charge. That means that for the entire year, I am supposed to be paying $9.99. And that's when they balance it out by excuse me, they balance it out by metering, the net metering, where they measure how much you've put back into the grid, and they give you credit for solar, for energy that you've put back into the grid, which you will then use over the winter time when you're not producing as much solar.
Great. Thanks, Leslie. That's excellent. Well, I'd be curious to hear from you sort of what led you to then be an ambassador for the program and talk to your neighbors about it.
Well, Solarize is a great program. I'm really excited about the fact that they're doing so much for the community, that they're supporting jobs, the fact that it's much easier to do solar, it's much more affordable for a lot of people. I certainly would not have been able to do solar if I hadn't done it through Solarize Philly, because the quote that my friend gave me was about $10,000 higher than what I was quoted when I had my installation review with Solarize. So I was thrilled to be able to do that. And for me, it's about giving back to the community. And of course, you know, climate change is a real thing. And my son, I want him to grow up in a place that is a place where he can thrive. And of course, all children, all future generations, they deserve for us to be able to put our energy forward and improve our usage of energy.
Yeah, totally. Well, we appreciate all you've done to be a leader in Solarize Philly. And I'd love to also hear from Vu. And I imagine some folks might have questions for you, Leslie, about your experience. But for now, Vu, I'd love to open it up to you and hear about what inspired you to go solar. I know you went solar in 2020 through phase 3 of the program. So you're a more recent participant. But yeah, share with us what that was like for you.
Well, actually, I would like to correct it first that I started doing this in 2019, August 2019, and it's actually been exactly a year ago, this to the date, that I just found an ad on Facebook, and it was about Solarize Philly, and I was curious, and it was just a very spontaneous decision that I was curious to find out what solar can do to my electric bill. So I went ahead and signed up for I think it was an meet at home presentation at one of the solar homeowner in the Spruce Hill neighborhood. I showed up and listened to the presentation and learned about solar. I went ahead and contacted Solarize, put in an application through Solarize Philly, and a representative from Solar State reached out a week later, and we went ahead with the proposal. At that point, I still haven't learned much about solar energy and what the impact it does to the environment. I just it would come out of curiosity, and it probably has to do with my my background and my job as a scientist. I'm always looking for a way to optimize my systems that I work with, and I try to do the best, the most efficient way. And so in home, I'm new to Philadelphia. I moved here in 2016, so I've only been here 4 years. But in my home, I have always looking for a way to reduce the energy cost and optimize the home so that it use least amount of energy. Simple things such as change out the light bulbs to it used to be CFL, but now it's LED, so it's become more and more energy efficient. Change out the any type of devices that use a lot of energy to more energy efficient devices. So the decision to go into solar state, I guess it was just always been at the back of my mind, but I have never had a program that offered a comprehensive approach to doing this. So it was great that I stumbled upon it a year ago, and moving forward, I'm very, very glad I went ahead with the decision. And today, hearing all of you panelists talking about the big picture, just put everything in perspective, and makes me very humble and appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vu. Well, I'd be interested to hear from you, and then maybe also Leslie, what you would say to someone who's on the fence about going solar. Maybe they're in the position you were last year or a few years ago, Leslie, when you were looking at different quotes and not sure if this is the time. Yeah, what would you say to someone in that position in this year?
Well, I would say, first of all, don't hesitate to get a quote, because that, if I had not taken the plunge and signed up for a quote from Solarize Philly, I would have probably been going forward through my life thinking, my roof is not big enough for solar, and I have a big tree that casts a shadow that I don't want to cut down. So, go and get that quote and find out exactly what it entails. And then there are a bunch of different things that you can do to make it affordable. For me, it actually, I was not able to qualify for some of the incentives, the grant programs that were there last year. And I didn't have enough cash to pay up front, but I was able to get a solar loan that was at 3.99% that I negotiated for a 10-year term rather than a 15-year term, because I'm at the age where I don't want to keep paying something down for 15 years. And, there are options out there for you, but you certainly can't succeed unless you get it started.
Great, thanks, Leslie. How about you, Vu? What would you say?
Sure. First, to address a comment about what would a potential homeowner think about investing in solar during this time. I'm hearing a lot from NPR these days that people are now working remotely from home, so they're thinking about their investment as a home purchase, home upgrade more often than before COVID-19. And since it makes sense that you now staying at home, so it makes perfect sense that you do investment to protect that property or to make the property works more efficient for you. So I would say that think and be optimistic about it, and make good investment. Go solar. Now the way I approach the investment is a little bit different because my property is a half as our family lives here on the property, but also we rent out the other half. And when I did a calculation for going with solar, I think as a simple investment, such as making additional room, it will for tenant to rent. And so going solar, the price is actually less than the construction price of making a new room, but the monthly production from solar still be able to offset the cost. So it actually makes sense. Now, as far as the process, I would like to see Solar State to possibly hire more installers, because at the time that I signed up, it was roughly about 3 to 4 weeks from the point of contract to the installation. So I know you guys have a pipeline going, and there's customer waiting to hear about their upgrades with their process. I see that from talking to the installers, I see that you could be able to turn over a project at a job site about maybe 1 or 2 homes per week. And I would like to see it, the program getting expanded so more people can have solar installed.
Thanks, Fu. We're all about that as well. Making sure that we're growing the number of people working in this industry, and we want to make sure we're supporting Solar States to grow in a way that's sustainable into the future. I don't know if you want to comment at all on that, Micah. And then we have a couple questions in the chat, and we can shift to those. Micah, you want to add anything so far?
Sure. First off, Leslie and Vu, thank you so much for going solar. We really appreciate it, and it's customers like you that allow us to be in existence. So thank you, and thank you for being willing to share your stories. Boy, right sizing our install team is always a real trick, right? I mean, the industry has a word for this. We call it the solar coaster, right? There's all of this demand, and then it goes away, and then it comes back and it goes away. So right sizing our company is something we're constantly looking at. We're about 30 people. We actually had gone up to 40, and then things slowed down and we had to do layoffs, and that was super painful. We do have a longish pipeline right now. We've got 4 to 6 months of installs all planned out. But one of the things that your patience and your willingness to go with us has allowed us is that we do full-time employment. So these people are not getting laid off when it gets slow and rehired. We have a core of people, and we've determined that we're going to grow slowly and fairly to all of our employees, so that we don't have these ups and downs of laying people off and rehiring and laying off and rehiring, because that's really important. So thank you for your patience. We appreciate it, and we will work to hire more people in this industry. That I promise you.
Can I just have a quick comment for you, Micah? And that has to do with, I think at the point of when I first contacted Solar State and they give me a proposal, one of the biggest drawbacks and that decision at that point was the wait time, the amount of time from the time of contract until completion, job site completion. And I think that was just around, correct me if I'm wrong, what you just say, 4 months. And so if you were able to put on seasonal contractor so that you can pan out the work faster, and that will cut out a waiting time for a customer, they probably will be more willing to sign a contract. What do you think about that?
I'm sorry. Some of that dropped out. I was having some speaker problems. But yes, I think the speed with which you can get things done certainly helps people to decide to sign a contract. I think it's a balance. I only heard the end. What was the beginning of what you said, Vu?
No, I think you just answered the question. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I mean, definitely helping with the speed. I think the appropriate pipeline, and remember, you have to get permits and you have to get interconnection, so that takes a little bit of time. That's something, unfortunately, we don't have much control of. Right now, that averages about between a month and 3 months. So that, I think, is our ideal timeline for installing solar is a month to 3 months. And that gives us, again, if we have enough runway, thank goodness we had, 3, 4, 5 months of work in the pipeline when COVID hit, because without that, when we reopened, it would have been very, very difficult. I mean, we probably wouldn't have survived, frankly, but because we had that in place, we were able to find people. You think, well, you've got 4 months of pipeline, why couldn't you just reopen and start working? Well, a lot of people are away. Some of the people aren't comfortable at that point in time. So like, when you have that many people, you can find the select people who are comfortable and ready to move forward in situations like that. So yes, it's a balance, and we're probably too far out with our work. So we're gonna do some hiring. We're gonna bring some more people on, and hopefully cut that wait time down a bit, and then provide more jobs for Philadelphia. So.
Good to hear. Thanks, Micah. And I know we will be hearing from some of the graduates of our training programs in additional Solar Week events that are happening, some of whom might be coming on full time at Solar States, and they'll be able to share about that story from the worker perspective. But we do have some questions here. I know we're getting up towards the end of our time together. So we had two come into the Q&A, which would be for Vu and Leslie. One is, what surprised you about going solar? And another is, what's your favorite thing about solar? So I'd love to hear from the two of you. And then we have a few others. I think Ruth, maybe you'd raised your hand, but I didn't see a question come in. So if you want to submit your question on the Q&A, that would be great. But we can start with those two.
Okay, I'll start. So Kayla asked what surprised me about going solar. And well, the biggest surprise to me was that after being told my roof was not big enough for solar, I managed to get solar. I was so excited about that. There was another little unpleasant surprise that I discovered in the process of going solar, which I didn't realize. I had signed up for a green energy program on my electric choice. And I didn't realize that this green company was not going to be able to give me my net metering that I expected to keep my electric bills low. So I actually lost about the first 4 months of my solar production. I lost all of the extra output that would have been going into my net metering. And I received a letter about 4 months in saying your relationship with Green Mountain Energy is not going to be possible to do the net metering. And if you want to do that, you'll need to terminate your relationship with them. So I did, as quickly as I could, terminate that relationship. But that meant that I actually ended up paying a little bit more for my solar, for my electric bills during the winter time, because I had not banked enough energy for the winter months. So anybody who wants to go solar should, if you're participating in one of these green energy electric companies, you need to make sure you stop your relationship with them as soon as your solar goes live. The other question is, what is my favorite thing about solar? And by far, it's that I'm helping the planet. It's a small thing I can do. I know that what I'm doing is a drop in the bucket based on what's needed, but I am doing it. I'm doing as much as I can. And that hopefully, the more people we can get doing this, we will all be in better shape.
Thanks, Leslie. Thanks to you again for being a leader in that transition to clean energy, which can't happen fast enough. So, Vu, do you want to comment at all on these two questions? And then we'll shift.
Sure. I guess the surprising things is that well, it's not really a surprise, but I've always been addicted to numbers and data. And so ever since I think I had my, I have a sense monitor, which I help look at the energy consumption daily and device recognition to optimize the home energy usage, even before solar energy. And then I sign on to solar energy, and I just look numbers and data every day. Every day I look at the amount of energy produced by the solar panels and compare to the previous day, find out which panel is good or not. And then I look at the solar and energy consumption in the home, and just surprisingly, over the past few months, I managed to cut down more energy than even before solar. So just becoming aware of the amount of energy consumption, I somehow managed to be able to reduce the amount of energy that's being wasted in the home. So I think awareness has helped me, be more mindful about what I use and not necessarily in the house, and help with the energy crisis.
Thank you, Vu. Thank you for that. I know Nancy had a question in the chat, Mike, a follow up around the independent suppliers not honoring net metering. Do you want to comment on that?
Sure. I was typing an answer, but the issue is not a technical one. It's certainly possible for any supplier to accept net metering. It's really a business thing. PECO sort of has a special relationship. They're a quasi-public company. They're very heavily regulated because they are the grid operator, and so they sort of have a monopoly. Well, they have a monopoly for distribution and transmission, and they used to have a monopoly for generation, but that got broken, so you can pick your generation supplier now. But as part of the regulations of being the owner of the grid, the Pennsylvania, or the Public Utilities Commission, said you have to accept net metering. And what that means is they have to pay the same rate that they charge you for every kilowatt hour that you sell back. So the issue with third-party suppliers is they're used to buying energy on the wholesale market and then reselling it retail, and that's how they make their money, on that spread of the difference between the wholesale price and the retail price. And so they don't want to pay a retail price for net metering. They don't want to pay the same rate that they're charging you for the energy you're generating. So that's why the third-party suppliers tend to say, nope, we don't do net metering, because they don't have a business case for it. They can't figure out how to make money buying net metered energy.
Thanks, Micah. I know we are at 11:30 and we didn't get to all of the questions here, so you can always email solarize@philaenergy.org, and we're happy to connect you to homeowners who can serve as a reference. I imagine Vu and Leslie, you might be willing to serve as follow-up contacts for folks. But I did see one that said, we just signed up with Solarize Philly this week. Could you give an estimate of when the work might get started on our 2-story row house? And I just want to say we're delighted to have folks signing up on solarizphilly.org right now. And so the next step would be that our team at the Philadelphia Energy Authority, Mavish, and our incredible team of Solarize interns will be giving you a welcome call to orient you to the program, make sure we have a PECO bill on file for you, and then connecting you with Solar States. So that should happen within just 1 week, and then Solar States will be following up with you within just a few days. So you should be getting an assessment from Solar States within a couple of weeks that's customized to your home. It shows you the costs and savings based on your unique usage. And then from there, like Micah shared, 3 to 4 month turnaround, I would say, to construction. And so it depends, depending on where you get fit into their list. So I think the sooner the better that you sign up, the sooner your solar will be installed. So we encourage you to sign up now at solarizphilly.org, and delighted to hear that, Sherry, you've already done that. Good. All right, well, I think we should sign off. I want to respect everyone's time, but thank you everyone for joining the webinar. It is available recorded and will be on our website. It was on Facebook as well. So if you want to share it, with your networks, feel free to do so. And we hope to have you sign on for more of the events this Philadelphia Solar Week. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.